Today I'm going to be watching Prager University's What is Big Green? And what is Big Green? When I first saw this video, I had no idea what it was, and that's because Big Green doesn't actually seem to like exist outside of PragerU. And they seem to have kind of just like manufactured it in order to fearmonger its audience to oppose any sort of environmentalist reforms. So let's watch this video and see what Big Green is.
You've heard a lot about big oil, big pharma, big tech, and all the other big bad players out there. I want to talk to you about the biggest, baddest one of them all. This Goliath doesn't deal in billions, it deals in trillions. I'm talking about Big Green. Yes, the environmental movement. It's the richest, most powerful big in the world right now.
Okay. So basically what they're laying out here is something that seems kind of just like insane and not based in reality. And that's that the environmentalist movement is more well-funded and more powerful than all those other things I mentioned, like big oil, big pharma, big tech, which we all know to be really powerful. Like big pharma created the opioid crisis. And basically, they got all these people addicted to opioids because, well, they knew that they were addictive, but they kept selling them because they wanted to make money, and they calculated that it would be cheaper for them to go through lawsuits as opposed to just like telling people, hey, yeah, maybe you shouldn't be taking those are addictive. That's how well funded that they are. So yeah, I don't know how all those other things are really comparable to the environmental movement, but let's see what their explanation is.
Nothing else even comes close. Until we see it for what it is and rein it in, it's going to get even bigger. And as is usually the case, bigger is not always better. You see, Big Green...
Okay. So basically, I did a little research before this too, and what I found out is that Big Green actually has an opponent now, and that's, since we're just going to be making up terms, I'm creating Big Climate Denial, and Big Climate Denial is also very well funded, and it's been very successful. Robert Brulé of Drexel University did a study on this, and yeah, he basically drafted out just how powerful and well-funded this is. And yet, of course, this is largely funded by conservative billionaires. And, just an example of how powerful they are. Look at what the Koch brothers have been doing. Or the Koch brother, since I think a couple of them are dead. Good riddance. I know that's horrible, but really, yeah, so they actually did something that was really pretty awful. There was a city, I'm not sure which one. I'd have to look it up, but basically they've been like shooting down public transportation projects. And the reason is because when people ride on a bus or a train or whatever, they're not buying a car. And they're not buying gas. And the Koch brothers don't like it. Even though public transportation is better for the environment, it hurts them. And they care more about themselves than the environment. Because they're greedy pieces of shit. So yeah, that's just some of the power. And they've successfully stopped public transportation projects with advertising and stuff like that. Just because of how powerful they are. And Big Green, I'm surprised. If Big Green is so powerful, I don't know how they haven't fought back. And it's almost like these people that are opposing Big Green, big climate denial, and not even big climate denial, just big environmental destruction, seem to be doing better than Big Green. But no, Big Green is the all-powerful force in the world. According to Prager University. Let's see what else they have to say.
Green wants to take over your life. It has to. This makes perfect sense. Big Green, after all, intends to save the planet from oblivion. Your freedom would seem to be a small price to pay.
Oh my god. Okay. So basically, the narrative they're trying to push here, if I'm not mistaken, is that Big Green wants to just like change your way of life. When really, like, I'm sure in school, like, they've had like talks with like people and said, okay, well, we do kind of have an issue here with the environment. Turn your lights off when you're not using them. Don't waste water. Recycle. Don't just throw shit on the street. Is that demanding? Is that like it's not like 1984? Is that Orwellian? I know they love using the word Orwellian recently with Trump getting banned from Twitter. But I really don't think that that's like such a demanding thing. Or maybe they're saying that, well, I'll let them make this point later on. But yeah, I don't see how it's that demanding on the individual, to be honest. I really don't. Most of it is focused on the government, pressuring the government and industries. So, yeah, it doesn't really involve the individual that much. But let's continue.
To accomplish its mission, Big Green needs two things: money and power. It already has a lot of both, but it's hungry for much more. Who do we mean when we say Big Green? We mean the major organizations that set the agenda for the movement. This would include, among dozens, Greenpeace, 350.org, Nature Conservancy, Sierra Club, World Wildlife Fund, and of course, the politicians, bureaucrats, corporations, and media outlets who support and promote their agenda. Before we
Okay, once again, like they're just putting forth this idea that Big Green is like very powerful, has the support of corporations, politicians, although they're very well funded. I want to create I want to create like a dichotomy almost. So we have something I'm going to say is basically like neoliberal environmentalism, neoliberal quote unquote environmentalism, pseudo environmentalism, and real environmentalism. And I think I'm not going to say that like these like a lot of I think Sierra Club and stuff like that has done a lot of good. But a lot of the times when like corporations specifically are like have like environmentalist initiatives, it's like a branding campaign. It's like a almost like an advertising campaign almost, like just like when they support like Pride, like they don't really care that much about like if it was profitable to be like anti-abortion and anti-gay, they would do it. They just go with like wherever the tide is going. So now they see environmentalism is like a popular thing. So they're gonna like put some money into being like quote unquote environmentalist. And if you look at like what like Citigroup, I know they're gonna bring this up, like Citigroup putting in like millions of dollars into like an environmentalist initiative, like it's like lower carbon emissions, not like zero, just like zero carbon emissions. It's like lower carbon emissions. Like it's very like pretty like pretty reasonable things. Like it's not like extreme. Like it's not like the Green New Deal, and the Green New Deal isn't even extreme. Like it's not like Ted Kaczynski shit. Like it's just like pretty minor things. So yeah, let's continue.
Before we get any deeper into this, let's stipulate a few things. The climate is changing. It appears, though we can't be sure, to be slowly warming. If it continues to warm, it could cause serious environmental problems sometime in the distant future. Industrialization probably plays a role in this warming.
Okay, I love like the words they're using. This like probably plays a role. Maybe it could be happening. No, we know for a fact. It's like a scientific consensus that this stuff is happening. Like you don't need to pussyfoot around it for your for your donors. You can just tell us.
In this warming process. Reasonable people should be able to agree on this.
Okay.
Democrat leader Nancy Pelosi and Republican leader Newt Gingrich actually once sat down together and said as much in a public service ad they made in the 1990s. But Big Green has no interest in being reasonable. Reasonable doesn't get you money.
Wait, okay. This is not something like you could really be like reasonable on. Like, okay, like if like someone comes up to you like, I say, yeah, could I tear down your house? Like, no, I don't think I want you to tear down my house. Like, I kind of live there. Like, I kind of want to have it like up and so I can live in it. Oh, could we come to like a middle ground? Maybe like I just like fucking smash all the windows, take all your furniture. That's more reasonable, right? No, can you just like not do? I don't think I want to reason on this. Like, I live here. Like, no, I don't think I want to reason with climate change. Like, we just need to fucking address it. Like, we don't need to be moderate in how we address it. We need to just like take the steps necessary to try to fucking curb it, because we're pretty much already past the point where we might be able to we might never be able to curb what's already been done, the damage that's already been done. So we need to take fucking like drastic actions. We need to actually start doing shit. Like, we can't wait, and we can't be like quote unquote reasonable.
Reasonable doesn't get you power. So let's talk about the money. Greenpeace, Nature Conservancy, World Wildlife Fund, and Sierra Club all have financial assets in the $100 to $300 million range. Name a Fortune 500 company, and chances are they're writing big checks.
Yeah, and chances are that they're also probably writing big checks to big climate denial. They have billions of dollars in funding, all from fucking rich conservative billionaires. So it's the same fucking thing. And like I said, a lot of companies will supposedly like support environmentalism for branding, for advertising. So yeah, we already touched on that. So this is what I was saying, that they're gonna like try to say that it's like, oh, they're funded by all the corporations, when it's really just like an advertising campaign.
Checks to Big Green. Banking giant Citigroup, for example, has committed
Yeah, we talked about
$100
this.
billion to combat climate change. But the real money is at the government level. In 2009, the Obama administration directed more than $110 billion to be spent on renewable energy investments under the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act alone. What the taxpayer got for this investment, other than long-forgotten $500 million boondoggles like Solyndra, is hard to say. According to the best economic...
Okay, so to be honest, I think it's worth it to invest in trying to, and at least trying to attempt to curb the effects of climate change and climate change as a whole. For example, like it's predicted that we're gonna have like a 10% GDP loss because of the effects of climate change and all the natural disasters and flooding and storms that it's going to cause. So it's going to destroy infrastructure, it's going to destroy agriculture, and then we're going to need equipment and seawalls and stuff to prevent it. And it's going to get even more expensive than it is just like spending money to move towards more renewable energies. Like, I'd rather spend more money than I'd rather spend this money right now than have to spend like 20 times or like even like 10 times the money in the future. Like, can we just like address it now so it doesn't get as bad, No, he doesn't want to do that.
Models, the Paris Climate Accord will cost the world $1 to $2 trillion every year. Total cost for the Green New Deal, $52 trillion, minimum.
Okay, I just want to point this out, that I'm not a big fan of the Green New Deal. That's like a different thing, but of course I'm going to defend the Green New Deal against this guy. The Green New Deal is not like, it doesn't focus on like a single issue. It doesn't just focus on climate change. It wants to implement like a variety of policies, such as a guaranteed jobs, infrastructure. It might even include health. I'm not too informed on the Green New Deal, but it includes a lot. It's like very multifaceted.
But money is only a means to an end. The end is power. The power to transform society into what they think it should be. That's what this is really about. Here's how Shoykat Chakrabarty, the architect of the Green New Deal, described it to the Washington Post. It wasn't originally a climate thing at all. We really think of it as a how do you change the entire economy thing. Maybe you like all this, that's fine. But don't pretend it's about protecting the environment. Chakrabarty was being honest. You should be too. It's about transferring more and more power to the government at every level. That's
so true. The other, like I mentioned, the other things in the Green New Deal, at least they admitted that it's not just about the environment. So I have to give that to them. But now they're framing it as like that it includes like what they're implying almost is that it includes transforming like the country into like an ultra authoritarian like communist state almost. That's probably what their viewers that's the conclusion their viewers are probably coming to. And yeah, I know. Giving people a guaranteed job and improving our infrastructure is so authoritarian. It's like 1984, you know, so bad, so communist. You know, you should be scared of it. They're giving the government so much power, but it's not oppressive when when in like a capitalist workplace in like a McDonald's where you're not allowed to sit down, you're not allowed to eat, you're not allowed to call, you know, during your shift where you get paid minimum wage. That's not authoritarian at all. The way that's freedom. That's just great. That's the American dream. You know, no problem with that. You know, PragerU logic.
Federal, state, local. And the way to get the power is to gin up scary scenarios. The planet is burning. The seas are rising.
Yeah, that is happening. Like we just saw, like California. Did you see that? It was fucking terrifying. Those photos from California. Yeah, that I don't know, like why they're acting like this isn't happening. It is. Okay. Let's continue.
We're all going to be dead soon unless we listen to those masters of disaster, Al Gore, Bill McKibben, and Greta Thunberg. And what have all their horror stories led to? A generation of young people who have nightmares about a planet burning up around them. Poor people who pay higher energy bills than they need to because of massive subsidies for wind and solar power. Millions of birds, including endangered ones.
Millions of birds! Millions of birds! Oh my god. I'm not even going to address. Maybe this is a cop out, but I'm not even going to address it. That's just like hilarious to me. The poor birds. I'm so sorry, birds.
Ones dying, sliced to pieces by wind turbines. Yet in the midst of all the planet is burning fear-mongering, the world is cleaner, healthier, and richer than it has ever been. Deaths from natural disasters are at all-time lows.
Yes, of course, deaths from natural disasters will increase. Will decrease. I'm not surprised by that. Like, 100 years ago, yeah, I would expect natural disasters to kill a lot more people because we don't have the same infrastructure. We don't have the same technology that we have now. We have like, you know, ambulances everywhere. We can get to people pretty quickly. We're a lot better at preparing. Like, I'm not surprised by that. That's just like. That just came with the advancement of human society, you know?
Here's why. Human beings adapt when faced with climate problems.
Okay. We should adapt when faced with climate problems. Yeah, we need reforms. Like, that's how you adapt. You make reforms and you actually start changing the way you act. Yeah, okay. That makes sense.
We're really good at it. We've been doing it for thousands of years. Sea levels rising, build taller and better seawalls. That's what the Netherlands did. A good chunk of the country, including its international airport, is below sea level. Need more water?
Okay, like you can't just. Okay, if like you're bleeding and like blood is like gushing out of you, and you put on like a Band-Aid, like. Okay, that's going to help for a bit, but, like, eventually it's just going to keep coming out. Like, if you don't actually address the issue, like, you might need stitches. You can't just, like, keep putting on fucking, like, Band-Aids and shit like that. Like, it's going to get to a point where the walls won't be fucking high enough, you know? When all of our fucking glaciers are melting and when the Arctic is fucking gone, you know? And the polar ice caps are gone. Like, that's not entirely sustainable. And yet, no, the Netherlands is, like, below sea level. It's, like, a different case. It's always been like that, you know? But it's just not as sustainable as they're making it out to be.
Spread the gospel of drip irrigation and desalinization.
Oh, okay, I agree with
Israel has more water than it needs, and it's in the middle of a desert. Need clean energy? Build more nuclear power plants. Sweden gets half of its energy from...
Yeah, I like how they're referring to Sweden now, and Sweden is very, very, very similar. The policies that they enact in Sweden are completely adjacent to the people that they're railing against in this video. And the Green New Deal isn't even... I think... Okay, personally, in my opinion, I'm neither here nor there with nuclear energy. I know the Green New Deal actually took out a section where it was like against nuclear energy, and I think it's like open to using it. So yeah, I don't know what, I think it agrees with you in this instance.
Nuclear. None of these simple, practical solutions makes much of an impact on Big Green. You
What?
don't raise money off of common sense, and you don't get political power telling people how good things are, and you certainly don't become famous by being calm.
I like how they're saying like, oh, Big Green is like, they're scaring people, they're giving young people nightmares, and meanwhile, like, what they're saying is that, oh, Big Green is powerful and well funded, and they want to take away your freedom. Like, I feel like that's fear mongering. Yeah, no, that's definitely fear mongering. At least like with environmentalists, like they actually have evidence and like reason behind them. Like there's like very little evidence behind this whole video so far. Like I don't. A lot of their claims are just like exacerbated, and a lot of them aren't even based on reality.
Big Green is not poor, not honest, and certainly not powerless. It's time we all plug into that truth. I'm Rogan O'Hanley, aka DC Drano, for Prager University. Thank you for watching this.
Wow, that's a great video. I don't even have anything else to add. I think I addressed most of my criticisms of this brilliant video about Big Green. And yeah, no, but yeah, this is the first video I'm putting out in a while. I deleted all my old videos. I don't know. I'm just getting started, you know, this, so my audio probably has a lot of issues. I know it has issues. And I don't know. I'm thinking of getting a webcam. I'm thinking of doing that. So hopefully, like, the quality of my videos will improve in the future. I don't know how frequently I'm going to upload, but yeah, this is what we have for now. So yeah, thanks for watching, you know.